What are some of the tactics?
The question is, how much time do you have?
Oh, really?
Criminals have placed cameras onto some of these ATMs, but also saying phishing emails. So they're now going to be able to have access to all of the information.
Just by clicking the link. Inspector Neely, this is the biggest shopping season of the year, Christmas. And a lot of us, we're going to be swiping and tapping, probably more than we should. But I want to use this as an opportunity to talk about credit card fraud. A lot of times, a lot of things are kind of happening in the background with other consumers and other business owners that, not everybody is aware of all of the tactics that some of these scammers and criminals are using. And so I want to first start out by talking about what are some of the tactics that persons are using to commit credit card fraud.
The main thing we see at the office is where persons come in after they have went to, let's say you went to a restaurant or an ATM, and you realize that your balance isn't what it should be. And so here it is, you now either check online or you go into the bank and you find your balance to be indeed, it's not what it should be because they are unauthorized transactions. And then we think back, we look at the dates and we think back to when this would have happened. And you say, hey, I haven't done these transactions. Someone must have stolen my funds. And then you think back to the last time, or you look at the last transaction that you actually authorized. And it was at, for example, a restaurant where you handed your card to the waiter who walked away from you. And for some time, he's processing the card and hands it back to you as normal. You sign, you leave, everything is fine, you had a good time. But a few days later, you're making all these purchases online at Shein and these different places, Fashion Over, that you haven't done. And that's a major trend that we've seen with credit cards. People make the mistake of still trusting in this day and age. And a person such as, but the bottom line is, you don't want to have your card out of your view unless it's in your safe place. And so that has been a major thing credit card wise.
I didn't even think of that because that is, common practice when you go to a dine-in restaurant. At the end of the meal, the waiter comes, takes your card, walks away, and you don't necessarily really give it any thought. But I didn't realize that's you're finding that to be an increasing issue.
We found it to be an increasing issue. We found a lot of those matters this year, and many merchants have their mobile credit card devices that they can bring to your table, and they are more preferred. Or if you must, leave your table and go to the area where the cards are being swiped and watch as they swipe the card and hand it right back to you. Even at the supermarket, sometimes we find persons will take your card and it's very, very quick that they have their cell phones, or maybe at the fast food places, they have their cell phones in an inconspicuous place. And when you pass their card to them, they would scan your card over their phone, back and front, take a video footage of it, and they have your information. So later on that day, they could very well go online and make purchases as if they were you. So it's important that we also remember to monitor our accounts as often as we can to keep your funds protected.
So that's one of the tactics. So one of the tactics is where they've gotten authorized physical access of your card, but they find some way of either taking a photo of the information or writing it down. What else? What other tactics are being used to commit credit card fraud that you found?
Okay, something else we found earlier this year. We haven't seen so much of it recently, but we had information that there were persons in town that were manipulating ATM machines. And what they would do, they would add to the portal that you push your card in on the machine. Persons would put devices over that portal and they'd be able to record your information off the strip. They would also put devices over the keypad that they could be able to record your PIN number as you enter it with your card in the portal. We've also seen cameras that are attached, temporarily attached, that is able to actually record as you type your PIN. Criminals have placed cameras on some of these ATMs to record your PIN information. So if they have the device onto the port that you stick the card in, they now have a camera to the side that's recording your PIN. They have your Stripe information and your PIN. They have access to your card. So you've
Mhm.
seen persons, they will come to us and say, well, I haven't had the card out of my sight. I have it on me now. There's no foul play, nothing whatsoever, except when I use it regularly at the ATMs or wherever. And so we're able to kind of streamline it. Maybe it happened at the ATM. We found some, particularly at one of the local commercial banks, that
Mhm.
had these things on there. And
Mm.
we have our digital forensic unit actually analyzing some of the information that we was able to find.
Are you finding where people are making credit cards?
We haven't seen much where persons actually make the physical card, but
Mm-hmm.
we've seen them design a card online, like an electronic card. They steal the information and then they create an electronic card. Some merchants may ask to see the card online, and they could actually send a photo with those numbers on the card that they designed. But we haven't seen actually the physical card. In the Bahamas, persons will use fraud IDs. They'll steal your physical card. If let's say you lost your card, your wallet, your purse, and they come across this card with your name on it, they can make a fake ID
Yeah.
with your name and their face, and they could use the physical card in that way. But for the most part, persons will just steal the card information, the numbers on the front and the back, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll purchase online in the Bahamas. You have to keep your card safe. We mentioned that earlier. You want to protect your PIN. Some people will put their PIN right in their wallet next to the card, or they'll use these PIN numbers that that simplify, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe your date of birth.
Yeah.
And so that's a no-no. So you're going to try to avoid doing those kind of things in this season, because sometimes these people that perpetrate this theft are close to you, and they're able to guess your password, unfortunately. So you try to have a password that's not easily figured out. You want to monitor your accounts. I try to monitor my online account every day,
Yeah.
but you want to monitor your account at least multiple times per week in the least. You also want to avoid using suspicious websites. You want to go on trusted websites like the Amazons, the eBays, the people that you know to be, in case something happens, they will refund your money. You wouldn't want to go on too much strange or odd websites to make purchases.
Even stores, right? Like physical locations here locally. Shouldn't we also be mindful of where we're using our cards locally too?
Definitely, definitely, because this is all hard-earned money. I know some
Yeah.
person are set out to steal that money from you, particularly at this Christmas season.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be careful with how we handle our card. Certain areas you don't want to go. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
to do credit card transactions. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
better to do cash. You want to keep your
Mm-hmm.
card safe, keep them in view. You don't want the card to go out of your view. You don't want to hand it to someone who's going to take it around somewhere to pay. If they can't come to your table or come to you and pay with a mobile credit card device, you want to go there to where the machine is and make the payment yourself. I mentioned earlier about persons adding things, recording devices to ATMs. So before you actually put your card into the ATM, you want to press the cancel button, double cancel, to ensure that whatever was going on before, whether someone was before you didn't close out a transaction properly, or whether a scam was trying to record your information, you cancel that information before you even enter your card. Press cancel twice, and that'll be able to restore the ATM to a neutral place, right? You also want to visually inspect that ATM to ensure that everything appears to be in place. I personally like to toggle the card, the area where you put your card, to ensure that it's not moving or broken or anything or not tampered with, where
Mm.
persons would record your information, like I mentioned earlier. Look at the keypad to see if it's stationary, if it seems to be disheveled or off a little bit. Chances are that particular ATM is compromised. I don't know if you're familiar with spoofing, where some scammer got access or has information that you deal with. let's say you deal with ABC company, right? You've been making purchases with ABC company, abc.com. You're now going to get an email that says, email from abc1.com. And you not sometimes you rely on email so much we don't we don't have that personal touch because you're so
Mm-hmm.
busy making these purchases all the time. You could very easily mistake and didn't see that one. So now we see ABC1 sending us an email. This is our company. This is the same company we work with all the time for years now. It's ABC, but you didn't notice the one or maybe a dash. So
Mm.
they're going to say to you, we have recently upgraded our banking information. We're no longer banking here, we're now banking here. So here's our new bank account number.
Oh.
Send your payment to this number.
Oh, so it's like, okay, so for example, a vendor. So a company has a vendor that they buy goods from, supplies from. They get this email that looks like it's from that vendor saying, "Hi, Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, ABC Supplies has updated their banking details. Here's the new banking information. You can send your payment for the next invoice. Please update your accounts department with this new information." And so now that company is thinking that they're sending their vendor payments, but they're sending the payments to somebody else.
So unfortunately, yes. And we've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars lost in the Bahamas from this kind of fraud. It's called a business email compromise. It happens all the time. So what I would encourage merchants to do, or your accounts department, when you get those kind of emails, because it happens, you
Yeah.
want to call someone at a number that you're familiar with. You call and say, did you guys send an email asking us to update our account information? And right then they can confirm yay or nay. If they did it, then send the funds. If not, it's a fraud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've also seen phishing emails where you will receive an email or a message to your phone that appears to be from a financial institution, that your financial institution is asking you to update your account. When you click the link, it's going to ask you for your username and password. They are fraudsters. They're trying to get you to surrender that information, surrender your username and password that they can use it to make fraudulent purchases. And it happens all the time because they create these screens that look so similar to the banking institution that you're familiar with. RBC, the First Caribbean, these guys, and you could make a mistake if you're not vigilant. So what I would encourage consumers to do when they receive those kind of messages, whether by email or by WhatsApp or wherever social media, you want to contact your bank. You want to hear, you want to dial a number that you know would be that bank's number, the number on the back of the card, or a number that, or go into the bank and ask about it. Don't freely go and enter your username and password on these for these messages coming out of nowhere. They're phishing, they're trying to get your information. And lastly, we've seen malware where you'll receive a you'll receive maybe something under the disguise of sweepstakes or something like that. Where we're gonna give you this $10 million. Just click on this link here and you could be entered to win this prize. Or you have won, you may get an email that says you've won $10,000. All you need to do, click this link. When you click that link, what you're doing, you're going to be surrendering your computer information over to these hackers. So they're now going to be able to have access to all of your information on your computer, all of your Word, your Excel, your banking information if it's on there, if it's on your phone, all of your private information on your phone will be now open to these hackers to do whatever they would want.
Just by clicking the link, not even typing, nothing, just by
Just
clicking, just a simple click.
click the link that opens the malware on your system. It then records your entire network, your entire CPU, all the information. And that's just the business email. That's just one aspect of it. Recently, we've seen something called what we've called the SIM swap. And we all have SIM cards on our phones. Some of us have what they call e-SIMs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We've found persons coming into our office complaining that, hey, we've I've lost access to my phone. I turn the phone on, it's turning on, but I can't get onto any of the apps or any of my online, any of my banking information, emails, all that stuff was gone. So what they did, they would go into phone retailers, Alive, PTC, etc., and the technicians will help them to regain access to their phones. But once they regain access, they now find that all of their banking information or their funds have been transferred somewhere else or they've been depleted. We're still trying to get to the bottom of this matter.
Of how they're accessing it. Oh wow.
We've been able to prosecute several persons because we've been able to see who received the funds.
Yeah.
So because of that, we was able to prosecute them. However, we're still not quite sure how they're getting access to the phones. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's important that you monitor your online banking as often as possible to ensure that none of these things happen to you. If you lose your phone, access to your phone, call the bank right away and let them know what's going on. You also don't want to leave your your online banking information open on your phone. Sometimes the phone will ask you if you want us to save this password. Never save the password for your online banking information. Always put in the password. Try to use the two-step verification,
Mm-hmm.
the minimum, but never leave it open that anyone can get into your phone and then have access to your banking information. What was amazing this week, I had a personal incident where a lady I knew, she's an older lady, she sent me a text message. In the past, I've sent her one message, like a video, at her request. It's WhatsApp. And she now, out of the blue, I haven't spoken to her for some maybe months. She sent me a message. Good morning. How are you? I said, man, I'm fine. Nice to hear from you. I haven't heard from you for a while. So I'm thinking this lady is texting me now. She says, yeah, I'm doing well. However, I'm having some challenges sending these funds to someone. My cash app is down. Could you please send me $650 and I'll repay you at a later date? And I'm saying to myself, this is an old lady. Not that old people don't text or WhatsApp, but I haven't known her to be a texter in that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was suspicious right away. She's now asking me for money out of the blue now for money to be sent. Thankfully, because I'm cheap, um, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it 1 minute. But my mind, I called her. I called, and rightly so, she had lost access to her phone. Someone was able to take over her phone and is now texting her friends and family, asking them for to send funds. We've also seen where persons would say, well, I'm stranded in Miami, or I'm stranded in the States, or wherever. Please, could you send me this money to this account so I can get back home? So this message comes from your loved one. So you may think, hey, they really need me to assist, but in actuality, their phone has been compromised. So it's important
Mm.
that you call that number. When you see those kind of messages, call your loved one. If you can get them on another line, that'll be good. But call them and hear their voice. Hear them say to you, yes, it was me that sent this message. Please assist. Or they may say to you, boy, look here, I right down the road from you. Stop wasting my time.
Yeah. I got a private message from somebody on Facebook. This was someone I was Facebook friends with. And they said something about, they said they couldn't access their account, their Facebook page. They could only access Messenger. And so they said they needed to get some code. They needed to get some code. Could I send you this code, and could you, anyhow, it just seemed very strange, and I just hit block. Mind you, I know this person, and I know went to school and everything with them, but I said that sound, somebody must see hack into their account and got it.
I want to share something with you that we found much more common last year that we coined the romance scam. Internationally, it's called pig butchering, where we found that particularly women of a certain age, maybe between 60 and 75, they've been targeted. Whereas
Bahamian women right here in the
even women
Bahamas.
in the Bahamas, they've been targeted and they would receive a message from someone, whether they're part of a group or something, a WhatsApp group, and they'll say, hey, particularly religious women. Some women you may know, they'll send you a message every day. Good morning, have a good day.
God bless the scripture.
That's beautiful ladies, beautiful hearts, beautiful spirited women. And persons would message them out of the blue and say, listen, I see a picture. You're a very beautiful woman. Um, we like to be, I'm such and such a person, just saying hello. And they will begin a relationship with these people. And the relationship turns into a romantic relationship where they say, good morning, I love you, have a good day. And they actually will build a relationship over months with these people to the point that the victim is now saying that they're in love with this strange person online. Sometimes they would even
That
talk to
they've
them,
never met.
never met. Most times it's just text, but sometimes you'll also hear their voices. Very seldom you'll see a video call, very seldom. What they would do after so much building of a relationship, they would then ask that woman for money, or they would promise them, I'm going to send you $100,000. I'm going to send you a car right to the Bahamas. And all I need you to do is just send me this, that, and the other thing. So many of them would send these funds to places like um, we've seen funds to we've seen funds going to Africa. We've seen funds going to Malaysia because we can track the funds by their online by their banking information. And we've even seen people actually send their physical card over to these fraudsters. So one particular instance that actually happened in the Bahamas, one fraudster was in a relationship with two women, two Bahamian women. One of the women sent the card over to a foreign country, and the other lady was sending funds to that local account. So person A actually sent their card for this man to use, and person B is now sending money from her local account to the local account of the woman who sent the card. So he now has access to the money through the card. Understand? So at the end of the day, we're looking at this as saying, because both of them were promised things. One was promised a Jeep, one was just looking for a relationship. And it's sad, but these people are being taken advantage of. And we try to encourage members of the public to be wary of these kind of strangers coming into your digital, what they call DM, and be very wary of those things, and particularly when they ask you for money. Because if you have $100,000 to send to me, why I need to send you $1,000? It makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah.
We've seen a number of what they call stealing by reason of service. Stealing by reason of service. When you pay for a service to be done, such as someone would bring in a car for you or furniture or whatever, and it's not done for whatever reason. They say you're going to get the car by March. You see it's in June, July, no vehicle. You come into the Financial Crimes Investigation Branch, and once we can establish that payment was made for a particular service and the service wasn't rendered, we could then investigate and bring in someone into custody for that. Be vigilant with your purchases. Do your research. Ask people about it. Go online, do searches. A lot of times you'll find that in Google, these same companies are flagged for being fraudulent companies. So if we do a little more research, we'll find that hey, this company is legit or it's not.
Just to wrap up, any final words, holiday season, any sort of closing words that you want to get out there, closing message to the public?
It's important that we monitor our accounts. I like to say monitor your accounts daily, right? You'll be able to track your balances to make sure that you made the last purchase. Some companies will allow you to electronically lock your card. Like you can go onto your mobile app and you can actually lock the card from anyone using it until you're ready to use it. When you go back on the app, unlock it, use it, and lock it back when you're done. You don't want to keep your online banking information or digital banking information open on your phone. You have a pin to get in your phone. You need another pin, preferably a two-step verification to get onto your online platform. If it's open on your phone, when someone gets access to your phone, they have access to your accounts. You don't want that. Give them a little headache, give them a little hard time to get into that account. So many things I can say, Shandro. To business owners, try to have particularly surveillance in your cash transaction areas at minimum. If you can, put something in your at the entrance and the exit areas where you can see persons coming in and out of your store. Ask for IDs. Where they're big ticket purchases and persons want to use a credit card, ask for their IDs. Not just look at the ID, record the information on the IDs somewhere in the event that January, when you get that charge back, you're able to now say that I saw this person coming here, and here's the ID number. This is what's going on. When you have employees, put measures in place to ensure that you're able to track what your employees are doing, whether it's in the warehouse or at the cash machine. You're able to say what this person did and this at this time, have persons able to account for their actions, that in the event of something is missing or some cash is missing, you're able to pinpoint when, where, and what. Online, be careful
Mhm.
online with your sales, with your purchases online. You want to look at, be wary of certain websites. You want to try to do business with websites that are familiar to you. You want to use the eBays, you want to use the Amazons, you want to use these kind of more traditional websites. You don't want to go to try to get a deal. When you receive a suspicious email or an email that's out of the norm, don't just respond to that email. Call and verify. Let's be human about these things. Call and verify to ensure that what the email instructions is given is actually accurate, coming from the person that you expect it to come from. Don't click on
Okay.
any strange um, things. The bank wouldn't ask you for your username and ID, your username and password. Banks don't need you to tell them that. So if you get an email asking you to click on here and enter your username for a bank, even if it says the bank's name and logo on it, it's not, more than likely it's not from that bank. I'll encourage you to call the number on the back of the card to verify, did you send me this document or this particular link, right? Where there are persons giving you sweepstakes, they say you have won a prize. If you didn't enter any competition, you didn't win no competition. It's a fraud. So don't click on that link. They're trying to get your information. So if you've been
Yeah.
scammed, Bahamas, please don't be embarrassed. Come and report the matter to either Domestic Crimes on Nassau Street, number 46 Nassau Street, right next to Bethel Brothers, or you can also report that crime to the Central Investigation Unit, uh, CID, at on Thompson Boulevard, University Boulevard, and we will see how best we can assist you. So just come in and speak to us about it. If you're not sure about something, some kind of investment or some kind of sale about something, come and ask us, give us a call at 356 6019 or 6025. Ask us about a trend in fraud that you may suspect if you're being defrauded. We've seen cryptocurrency matters. Give us a call and we'll be able to advise whether.
What have you seen in cryptocurrency and matters before you go? What have you seen?
So you mentioned earlier that a friend of yours on Facebook messaged you
Mm-hmm.
about sending some funds or something, some kind of something. We've seen persons come into our office complaining that their Facebook friend who they knew from a long time or their neighbor
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook is now getting into crypto investments. And they actually send funds, $700, $1,000, whatever amount of money to invest in cryptocurrency. What happened? That person's Facebook account may have been compromised. And that person is not your friend that you know to be, but they're using their profile. So when you get that kind of message, when you see sometimes payments will even be online saying, I've won the money, or I've invested and I've gotten a return. Sometimes the fraudsters will say to them, make a video for me and we're going to ensure that you get some money. Although they haven't gotten anything as yet, the fraudsters will ask them to make a video and they will do the video. And now, because you see my face, your familiar friend on the Facebook saying how they won, you think is legitimate, and you would then invest the same way. So call that person that you see or that's messaging you about a crypto investment. Have them tell you, listen to their voice, and say, is it the real deal? And they can say to you, well, yea or nay. So persons have lost lots of
Mm-hmm.
money because they got a message from a friend who they thought was a friend, asking them to make an investment here. And so we've seen that as well. So we be wary of those kind of messages out of the blue. And if you want to make an investment, it's fine. There are places that you can invest in the Bahamas. The Securities
Yeah.
Commission, you got the stock exchange, you got many land on these different places. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to, you know,
Have you seen any trends with sand dollar? Anything with digital wallets and the sand dollar? Have you seen anything come across your desk of people utilizing the sand dollar?
we haven't had any complaints about sand dollar, any digital currencies as yet outside of cryptocurrency.
The cryptocurrencies. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Inspector Neely. Again, this was awesome.